raised in the homestead called Papakole, which is on lower Mount Tantalus. And so I was surrounded by Native Hawaiians, went to public schools, and then attended Church College of Hawaii, which is now Brigham Young University. Graduated from there and received my doctorate in chiropractic at Palmer College of Chiropractic in Davenport, Iowa. We had a wonderful environment. I had a father who worked for the Navy Yard and a mother that worked for the school system as a cook. So he was one of the supervisors there, and my brothers and I had a really wonderful upbringing, because right next to me was my maternal grandmother, who was the matriarch of the family and the keeper of all Hawaiian knowledge. And so it was very easy for me to just go next door to grandma's and sit and learn from her needs. Well, I was very interested in lua since I was a child, because my father was a martial arts teacher in the Eastern arts, Kempo Karate. So he was a teacher along with my uncles and cousins for many years. And I started to look at our history and say there must have been some fighting art that was available to us. And I soon came across the name lua. And I read bits and pieces in history which were very few and very sporadic on all the written literature about it. But we looked at it for a number of years, and it took me 25 years to find the last living teacher of the art back in 1974. And he was my teacher. We call him Olohe, which is the honorific term for the teacher of lua, Charles Ken. And Olohe is a very interesting term because it also means hairless or beardless. Because in the old days, they would pluck their beard and pluck the hair from the body and rub themselves with coconut oil. So it's hard for a person, when if you're in a match, a wrestling match, to grab onto your arms or legs. Also was how these fighting masters would go into battle, bald, no hair, and must have been an awful sight to look at them, So this is the term that's used, and it also is a good term because it keeps us humble. We're not the great poobah of the universe. We are the hairless one. So for a period of 1974 to 1978, we practiced the lua with a handful of men up in Papakole at my mama's house. It was like going to the finest universities, maybe Harvard or Cambridge in England, and beyond that, because he also spoke of things spiritual, which is a lot of this information has been lost in the last 50 to 100 years. So he was a great inspiration to us, and being around the teacher of this caliber for 4 years was just a profound experience. Where it is today, we have a renaissance of the art going on because of that. Lua is actually a fighting system. It's a type of bone breaking and joint dislocating art. But the name itself, Kuia Lua, has a lot of different meanings. Lua meaning two. Lua also means a depression, a pit or grave. And one interpretation of Kuia Lua means to strike the death blow, and also to strike the second blow. So it's a fighting system that involves the use of weapons, spears and clubs, and also hand-to-hand fighting. Lua has two different energies or philosophies that make it a whole. One is the power of Ku. Ku, of course, is the ancient Akua god that has to do with battle, statesmanship, diplomacy. But it gives the male regenerating energy, that strong, upright strength, which is common to all men. And also the energy of Hina. Hina, the goddess of the moon, the female essence. It's the horizontal plane, if you look at it on the map, compared to the vertical, which is Ku. It's the softer energy, more sly way of fighting, more liquid, rather than the stand-up approach that Ku has. But it's in the interplay of those two energies that makes it interesting, because learning them is the basis of all self-defense in the Hawaiian system. The first organized school, however, of Lua actually existed in about the 12th century on Maui at a heiau called the Pihanakalani. And it was there at Pihanakalani that 46 different types of arts were taught, natural sciences, and one of them was Lua. Until about 1870s, the last of the kahunas were trained and the temple was shut down. But from this group, some of them were teachers here at the palace ground with King Kalakaua in an effort to preserve ancient knowledge. And this is where some of the knowledge from the Lua came into being. So we have a direct link in my school from the 12th century through the Iolani Palace and to my teacher who trained with some of these teachers from the nobles. In teaching the Lua, of course, the kapu had to be lifted. And the kapu was lifted to us, from us by Charles King in 1978. And he gave us permission to teach men and women of Hawaiian ancestry the Lua and open it up to a wider audience. But it actually took us about 15 or 16 years before we finally put the mechanisms in place in which we were able to do that. Since that time, about 8 or 9 years ago, we have trained over 1,000 men and women in the Lua throughout the state. The name of our pa is, or our school is called Pa Kuiaholo. And what that means is to strike a rapid blow. And the counter or secret behind it is, even though the enemy might launch the first blow, it's not often that his blow will hit you. You actually will counter and hit him first. So striking the rapid blow. And it's another name for Kuiaholo. It's another name for Kuialua, which is the aumakua of the Lua, the spiritual presence of the Lua. And the purpose that we do this type of fighting hand to hand in a world that uses guns and atom bombs, etc., is to build discipline and train Hawaiian students in self-discipline, in focusing, in self-improvement of how they view themselves. And if need be, the Lua can be used in self-defense for their own protection of themselves and their families. So we carry on this tradition of fighting skills similar to what the hula masters or the kumu do in their field, in trying to help our youngsters survive in a very complex world. Lua is one of the most effective ways of finding one's own spiritual self that exists in the Hawaiian culture today.